Okay, so in this lesson, we will take the design here for 728 by 90 and replicate it to all of these other banner sizes. So the first step will be to take the Move tool and make sure the group here, 728 by 90, is selected, and we'll move it up here to the upper left corner. Now, the next banner that we'll do will be the 468 by 60 because it's basically the same proportions here. And let us expand both of these groups. And the first step will be to take the rectangle one, right click it, and go to Copy Layer Style. And then we will right click this up here in rectangle 2 and hit Paste. So that basically takes everything, all the layer styles, and just translates it to that shape. So now what we want to do is take all of these layers and duplicate them and move them up here to the 468 by 60. So let's select Join Now. We don't need the 728 by 90 text layer right there, obviously. Hold Shift and select all the way down to the first mask right here. Now let's go ahead and duplicate those. Right click, Duplicate Layers, and let's drag them up. Okay, so let us select from the green, or actually, yes, the green background layer right here, down to the subtitle layer. Actually, one second. And right click and hit Create Layer Mask. And now what we need to do is make sure we have all of our layers selected, and we can collapse those as well. And with the Move tool, we can go ahead and see that now we have our duplicated layers. But they're too big. So the first thing we'll do is hit Control T, hold Shift, and do this a few times until we can get everything fitting on here. And select the Move tool and hit Apply. So we have a couple things that we need to focus on because the text is quite a bit small, especially in the free area up here. So let's go ahead and zoom up here. And I'm going to take the Direct Selection tool and select the green button here, and we're just going to use our arrow keys and drag this side in, select the right half and drag that in as well, and then select the title as well, holding Shift, and we can scale that up just a little bit. Hit Apply. So let's go ahead and zoom back out here. And one of the things that we have to consider, especially when we're going to be working with some of the smaller sizes, are we going to be able to fit, or should we be able to fit, all of the layers and the text layers on here? I think we can still definitely include free, but it's kind of a toss-up if we should include the subtitle. So let's go ahead first and focus on free up here. Select both of those layers, hit Control T. Hit Apply. Okay. And let's go ahead and take both of these text layers, scale them up slightly, and this would be likely something I would test because what we could do is hide this layer and then it becomes much more simplistic, but I'm going to keep it here for now. Alright, so that's our first banner that we've replicated. Let's go ahead and move on to the next, which follows the same sort of proportion, which would be the mobile ad up here. So let's go ahead and show that. And this now becomes just a process where we follow everything that we did in the previous steps. So let's right click and hit paste layer style. Let's take all of these layers, duplicate them, create clipping mask. Now this is definitely one where we will have to remove some layers, because remember, this will be displayed on a mobile phone which is pretty small. So I'm going to hit Control T, hit apply. Alright, so one thing I'm going to do is get rid of the subtitle here, and take the type tool and bring that down to a second line, and let's get out the character panel, and for the line height let's try 16, and then we will take our button, oops, I failed to move that over initially. Alright, now let's adjust this a little bit with our direct selection tool. So again, this is a mobile ad, so we really want everything to be pretty simple. We could even change this to join free, that way we don't join for free, and that way we don't have to include that little corner bit. Alright, and so that would be suitable for the mobile ad. Alright, so for the next layer, let's go ahead and see which banner size we want to use. Let's focus on the large square here. Now I don't want to duplicate from the 300 by 50 because everything's really scaled down. Actually, I'm going to use our initial 728 by 90 to duplicate the layers, as everything's pretty big here. So let's go ahead and expand this, right click and hit paste layer style. Let's select all of our layers again. Let's duplicate them. Bring them up. Select that layer all the way up to here. Right click and create clipping mask. Make sure all of our layers are selected, and we'll move them down. Now we're going to have to work with this bottom here, as that unfortunately was not transparent. Okay, so now let's go ahead and format this a little bit differently. So let's take our title layer and take the type tool and bring it to a new line. And our size is around 32, so let's choose 33 for the line height. Actually, I might change that to 29. And let's center everything. Make it slightly smaller. Alright, let's select our subtitle. And let's scale it. Actually, we want to put this on 2 lines actually. And let's make sure it's center. You know what? I've changed my mind. I think we'll stick this on just one line. That way we have a little bit more room to work with. All right. And we could likely change this down just a little bit more. All right, let's line things up. Okay, now let's take our button, which is currently off to the right side over here. I'm going to remove the stroke on that and scale it down just a little bit. Okay, and then finally we have our corner piece that says free. You can just drag it right there. All right, so now with this down here, this obviously looks really bad because it's fading into white, and unfortunately it wasn't made transparent. So let's go ahead and take him, let's get him more centered, and we could deal with this in a few ways. First, let's experiment with just changing the blend mode. And that kind of, although he becomes a little bit dark. So when you're working with assets like this, it can be a little bit annoying. Okay. Let me select him. All right, let's see here. I think we're good to go on the square proportion banner. So now it's a lot quicker for us to go ahead and duplicate that one over to the other square, the three other square ones that we have remaining. So let's go ahead and show 300 by 250. Expand both of those. Paste the layer style. And select all of our layers. Duplicate them. Create clipping mask, drag them over. And we can go ahead and let's select all these and just slightly scale them down. Control T. Oops, I forgot to move that other layer over. Hit apply. Let's take our join. All right, and that is almost good. The free is a little bit cut off. We can expand that a little bit. All right, looking good so far. Now the next one, let's go ahead and move the layers a little bit. I'm going to hide the big one. We'll move this one over here. Now this one is only 50 pixels different, so that will be easy to duplicate. Let's expand these. Let's paste layer style. And repeat the process once again. This time I'll just go ahead and move them roughly in the right position. And let's select from the bottom up. Create clipping mask. Okay, so this time, since we have a little bit less width to work with, we'll go ahead and select our title here. We'll have to scale it down just a little bit. This can remain pretty much the same. And our corner piece over here, we can just move over slightly. All right. And then we have 200 by 200 over here. By the way, let's go ahead and save what we have so far. Paste the layer style. Duplicate our layers. Move them over. Create clipping mask, and now we're left with even less space. And so this time I'm going to make some adjustments to the text. We're going to put this on 2 lines. We're going to get rid of "it's easy." Scale it down just a little bit. We're going to scale him down. Let's take our button and move it up. We'll scale it down just a little bit. And you know what? I kind of only want this to be on one line, so not everything isn't so crammed. We'll put "reach your goals now." And let's find our corner piece. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, so now we have our skyscraper banners, which is the 160 and the 120 width. So let's go ahead and save what we have. And let's reveal rather, this one. So let's go ahead and hide the ones that are getting in the way. So let's hide this. Let's hide the mobile banner and the 728 version. Okay, so what we'll do is just take the layers from the 250 by 250 group and duplicate them to the 160 by 600. Alright, so let's select, well, let's first right click and paste layer style. We'll take our groups down here, right click, duplicate layers, move up. We'll move it roughly in the correct position. And let's go ahead and select from up here, create the clipping mask. Alright, so now we really have to work with this a lot to get it to fit and even everything out here. So let's first take the join button, and then we'll just move it all the way down here. And we can scale it up a little bit as well. Then let's take our character, we put him right there. Then we'll take our subtitle, alright, so let's scale that out a little bit. Now that text is pretty small, so let's increase it quite a bit. And then take our title. Now Now we can make this pretty big, so let's go ahead and put each of these on their own line. We don't want it too close. We want a little bit of padding there. And let's get our character panel out and expand the line height a little bit more. Maybe even to 28. And let's go ahead and make it all bold. And you know what? I really don't like that space. It makes it feel like it's a little bit too cluttered. So let's just remove that one, scale it down just a bit. All right, let's get our corner piece. Scale it up. All right, so that's pretty decent looking. What we'll do now is quickly replicate this to the 120 by 600 size. So let's show that one, and this will be our final banner. And let's hide the 250 by 250. Let's expand these. Paste our layer style. Select our layers again. Let's move them all over. Alright, now let's select the bottom layer up here to create clipping mask. Now we want him to remain the same size, so we will find his layer and deselect him. Then everything else we can scale down just a little bit, so hit Control T. Oops, let me hit Don't Apply and let's make sure we have Join Now selected. Right around there. Now let's go ahead and select the Join Now button. And our free corner. Select this part. Now what we can do is to take, well, we have a couple options. Procrastination is a large word, so we don't have much room to work with on these skinnier banners, so we can do a couple things. One option would be to just take these two letters or these two words and scale them up here, and take this and scale it down just to around 14.5 or 6 or so. That's one option. Another option is to change the actual text entirely to like something like "Stop being a slacker." But for now, I think we'll just keep this. And this needs adjusted. Okay, and I'd say that is pretty good. So that is quite a tedious and lengthy process, but that is pretty much it. And so the next lesson, we're going to take a look at split testing the banner design, which basically will make some varying adjustments for the purpose of split testing. All right, thanks.